Hey, and welcome to Journey with Jesus. I'm your host and author, Johnny Singh, and I want to welcome you to this platform, which is a Christian platform that's dedicated to your spiritual uplift and encouragement. This is going to be our pre-launch episode. So a few things that you should anticipate me talking about is why this platform exists, who am I, and what you can expect moving forward. Let's get into it. Thank you for joining us with Journey with Jesus. I'm so grateful that you want to be a part of this with me and that I can, be a part of this new thing with you. Who am I, man? What's this all about? What's going on here? Why this exists? All right, yeah, let's get into it. I'm Johnny Singh. I'm 24 and I'm from Guyana, South America, and I live in the US now in the state of Florida. It's called the Sunshine State, but for some reason, as of recording this, it's 45 degrees outside. Don't ask me why that is, but that's what we're dealing with right now. I am a graduate of the Florida School of Preaching. I spent my tenure there going through a theologically rigorous program that has allowed me to study the Bible and understand the dynamics of Christianity and other religions from a lens that might come across as more studious than others. And I've been able to garner a whole lot of beautiful friendships with many people. But my journey doesn't start there. It actually started back home in Guyana in South America. And I was raised in the home of a preacher. My dad's a preacher, and you'll see him on an episode to come, Samuel Singh. I was raised with three other siblings. I'm the youngest of four. And it's so funny. Every time people see my eldest brother, it's crazy. He's going to be in the episode eventually, but every time people see him, they usually think that I'm older than him. And I understand it, man. I look like I'm, 30, 40 years old. It's been a running joke for a long time. I'm married and my wife's a year younger than me. I'll tell you what, just a side story. When we're in Walmart, buying groceries and checking things out and getting a few things, this one time, this individual that knew her, one of her clients, because she's a banker for a well-known bank in the South, one of the clients came up to her and said hi and whatnot. And the client knew that she was young and all that good stuff. And he turned to me and he said, "Man, how nice it is that you're out shopping with your daughter." I looked at this dude's older guy, just looked at him and smiled and said, "Well, thank you. I appreciate it." And we just giggled about it. And I mean, there's times we tell people that, she's my wife and we married and all that good stuff. And they hear him about it, but it's all good with me. If anything, I take it as a compliment as to how youthful and beautiful she is. Anyways, getting back to some of the things we're talking about. Like I said, I was raised and born in Guyana, South America. I was raised in the home of a preacher. And, you know, I guess we can call this episode from PK to P, from preacher's kid to preacher, because that's exactly what happened with me. I became a preacher myself, and I've been very enthused about teaching people about Jesus and telling them about his kingdom and allowing them to learn ways in which they can develop a relationship with him. But my journey, I was raised in a home of three other kids. And again, I was the youngest and the age gap was all over the place. But man, being raised as a preacher's kid is an interesting dynamic. There's a whole lot that you understand about life, but there's also a whole lot that you don't understand about life. There's a real neat dynamic where you've got to somehow separate the differences between, being a Christian, just being authentically yourself as a Christian, but then also having this sort of standard above your head that everybody looks at you in a certain way because you're a preacher's kid. And like I said, my journey is an interesting one. And for the earlier part of my Christian faith, I got baptized when I was 11 years old, and I became a Christian in 2012. Mm. The earlier part of my year, I definitely embraced Christianity at a level that I enjoyed and something that I, grew fond of as I grew closer with God. But as I got into my teenage years and I started to learn a few more things about the Bible and a few more things about Christianity, there was a lot of things that I didn't understand. And as a result of that, my lack of understanding sort of drove me further and further from my commitment with Christ. So there was a gap in my life where I totally, in some ways, stepped away from the faith. I guess you can consider the prodigal son story. But I totally stepped away from Christ at one point in my life, and I sort of lived a life that was separate and apart from that of somebody who professes Christ as their Lord and Savior. And I knew better. I understood that where I wasn't where God would have desired me to be. But that's how things ended up. And as I got a bit older and more into my teenage years, I had the opportunity to be exposed to the Florida School of Preaching here in Florida. And I had the opportunity to be invited by some great folks and people that I love dearly to come to the U.S. and explore the school and, get enrolled and be a part of it. And I said, hey, why not? And I gave it a shot. I came and I went to school. When I got here and I started school and I was looking at things, I was like, man, this is just not me. I don't feel authentically myself. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of which was the cultural difference. I grew up in a Caribbean culture, ethnically, predominantly people that looked like myself and people that sounded like me. And even the type of Christendom, the kind of Christianity that I was exposed to in terms of cultural variations, that is not something doctrinal, the cultural variations of Christianity. And I just didn't feel authentically myself. And it was, God's good graces that I met great people like Brian Kenyon, who at the time was and still is the director of the Florida School of Preaching. And I befriended him. And I remember meeting him. It's one of these sort of a vivid thing that sticks out to me in my mind. I met Brian Kenyon at his home. He had a bonfire for the local congregation. This was like around December, and it's after Christmas, or maybe it was like the first week of January or something like that, but it was definitely after the Christmas holiday. So lots of people were sort of bringing their Christmas trees, and they're going to have a big bonfire at his place. And I went and I met him, and this dude, he's in shorts and flip flops, and he's just a character. And if you know Brian Kenyon, you know that he's a character. And I just fell in love with him, man. And I just love the kind of person that he is and was at the time that he met me. And I got to meet his beautiful wife, Jaji, and I got to meet some of their extended family and other members of the church. And it just stuck out to me that for the first time in a few weeks, I felt like I was back in the kind of environment that made me fall in love with Christ, and the environment that's very familiar with that of the Caribbean, just enthused people about Jesus, enthused people about his kingdom, people that love each other. And I thought to myself, wow, if this is what the school is going to be like, I want to be a part of it. Now, mind you, at the time of meeting Brian, I had no idea that this is the director of the school. This is the guy that I was emailing back and forth, that I was talking to. So now fast forward to when I visited the school in person, and I got to meet some of the lecturers, and I walked in his office, and there's Brian sitting there, and he got up and gave me a hug. And I think from then onward, it was a done deal. I just knew that this is where I had to be. Then there was a lot of other people that just totally influenced my life as I continue to develop and invest into this aspect of my life as a Christian that's dedicated his life to studying the word and telling people about Jesus. And, there's beautiful friends of mine that I got to meet while I was here, and you'll get to meet some of them eventually on this podcast as well. I've already got them lined up to do some episodes with me. So if I were to break down areas in my life, again, I got baptized as a young person. I was 11 years old. And that earlier stage in my life, I want to say like around 11 to 14, I definitely enjoyed and was enthused about Christianity. But from around age 15 to about 17, 18, that gap there, things took a turn. I started to not understand a lot. And then, exposure to life itself, being a young person in our culture, that is the Caribbean culture, and being exposed to all kinds of things, I started recognizing that this is harder than it seems, and that it appeared to be when I converted at a younger age. And then around ages 18 and onward, I just felt like I was totally separated from Christ. I mean, I just lived a life of inconsistency and hypocrisy, and something that was definitely not the expression of who Jesus is and what he desired for his followers to look and be like. And then when I was 19, that's when I came in contact with some of the folks that gave me that opportunity and said, hey, why don't you think about it? If you've had struggles with better understanding the Bible, and as a result, not being able to fulfill your life as a Christian, why won't you think about coming and learning and being able to see things from a different perspective, maybe one that you've overlooked in the past? And that was the turning point. That was the stepping stone that gave me the opportunity to come and learn and study and see Christ from a different lens. and it made me fall in love with Jesus even more than I was before, and allowed me to deepen that relationship with him. And something through that tenure that helped me dearly to understand what it means to journey with Jesus is faith comes at different levels. And we've all got different levels of faith that we get to experience and are exposed to. And that reminds me of Romans chapter 12, verse 3. Paul said that every one of us is given a different measure of faith. And at that moment in time, 19-year-old Johnny, looking back, 4 or 5 years ago, that was my turning point. That was my moment where I recognized that, hey, I was at a different level of faith and I would love to be at a different level of faith. Now I have the opportunity to do so. So that's exactly what I did. I grasped onto that and I latched onto it. And from that point here, 5 years later, there's been so many great things that has happened to me. And one of which is I was able to get married and I met my wife, and that's been a beautiful thing. And you'll hear more about that in future episodes to come. But my journey, man, it's been an interesting one. It's been a crawling one. I've crawled in different aspects of my life. And then I've gotten to this point where I know that my commitment is something that I no longer can be doubtful about or challenged with. And I enjoy that. I enjoy deepening my relationship with Jesus. So that has encouraged me to create a platform like this, create a platform where I can help other people connect their journey with Jesus with you, so that you can come to learn Jesus from a different lens, so that you can come to see Jesus from different eyes and different stories, different perspectives, and hopefully you can be able to connect with him as a result of that. So that's who I am. I'm Johnny Singh. I'm a preacher now, and I minister for the kingdom of Christ, and I enjoy doing it. And I love telling people about Jesus, and I'm not going to stop loving telling people about Jesus. So if you want to know about Jesus, let's talk about him, separate and apart from this platform, of course. But why is this platform here? You've gotten to understand a little bit, hopefully, of who I am. Now you'll get to know why this platform exists. Journey with Jesus. Romans chapter 12, verse 3 was one of those pivotal verses that helped me to launch what I want this platform to become. An area in every person's life where they can have a journey with Jesus, where they can deepen their relationship with Jesus, where they can come to know who Jesus is, and where they can come to embrace that relationship and love him as he loves everyone. That's why I've decided to create that platform, this platform, Journey with Jesus. I want you to journey with Jesus. And I would love for everybody that you can come in contact with through this platform to encourage that journey so that you can deepen your relationship with Jesus in a place that you would like it to be. And that's why we're here. A little bit about the platform, Romans chapter 12, verse 3 is definitely a pivotal verse. Every one of us is given a different measure of faith, and I want you to be exposed to that and hear about different measures of faith. And then also John chapter 10, verse 27, Jesus says that he's a true shepherd and that his sheep know his voice and that they follow him and they hear him. And then, of course, in verse 28, he says, as a result of that, I'll never leave them and the Father loves them. So the sheep, we hear his voice and we know who he is and he knows who we are and we follow him and he cares for us. So Romans chapter 12, verse 3 and John chapter 10, verse 27, those two are verses and places in scripture that definitely prop this podcast up and this platform up into what I would like it to become. So that's why we're here, so that you can get connected with Jesus, so that your journey can deepen with him, and so that you can come to learn of him and hopefully so from the perspective and lens of different people. What can you expect? Expect weekly uploads. Now, Journey with Jesus already exists on the Substack platform, and there's also a website, and I'm going to put some stuff in the description so that you can get in contact with that if you're not yet. But I've been writing for the past few months and already putting content out there. So there's a lot of written works that's already belonging to the written part of Journey with Jesus. And now this, of course, is going to be the audio and visual part of Journey with Jesus. So what you should expect is weekly uploads from the podcast platform. I'm going to be doing solo episodes like this where you and I get to talk about Jesus and I get to share some things with you from the Bible so that you can come to better understand some things and be encouraged and uplifted. And then also expect some interview episodes where I'm going to be having guests, all kinds of people, from family to friends to faithful servants of Christ, as they tell you their stories and their journeys and how they are where they are. So expect weekly uploads, solo episodes, as well as collaborative episodes with different guests that's going to be on the show. What else to expect? Expect an opportunity to connect. I'd love to hear your feedback, and proposably, if you would suggest areas of discussion that you would like to hear dissected from the Bible, I would love to do that. If there's questions or concerns or areas of curiosity that you would like to better understand or be exposed to from a biblical lens, I'd love to open the Bible and share that with you, whether it be something that is cultural or something that personally affects you, whatever it might be. Share that feedback with me from the email address. I'm going to have that somewhere as well as from this. If you want to comment somewhere in the description, or if you want to reach out to me on one of the social media platforms, there's going to be ways for you to reach out with me, and you can get some things to me. So expect weekly episodes that's going to be on a solo level, you and me, as well as a collaborative effort, me, you, and other people, as well as you having the opportunity to reach out to me and say areas that you'd love for us to discuss as a result of this platform. That's what you can expect. So who am I? Johnny Singh. I'm just a Christian, and I love Jesus, and I want to tell you about him. Why this platform exists? I'd love for you to share your journey with Jesus with us, and for other people to do that as well, so that you can deepen your relationship, so that we all can deepen our relationship with God. What you should expect? Well, you should expect weekly episodes. I'm going to be uplifting and encouraging you in the best way that I can, and I'm going to be having different people come on board to do that as well. You can reach out to me so that we can have areas that personally affect you, so that we can discuss them. Just noticing. And a lot of facial expressions. How about that? I never paid attention to that before, but eyebrows are doing a whole lot of things. So there you go. And this has been delightful. This is the pre-launch episode. This is not episode 1. So this is somewhat of a pre-launch episode, so that you can already get familiar with some things as we prepare to start making episodes available in the month of March 2025. You're going to start seeing episodes come out on a weekly basis unless something interrupts that. And I'll let you know ahead of time what's going on. I love you, and I love that you're here, and I love that you decided to join me in this platform. And I love that you want to love God because he loves you. Thank you. I created an introduction, but I haven't created somewhat of an outro. We'll work on that. Hey, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this on this pre-launch episode of Journey with Jesus. I look forward to seeing you some more.